My sister called me the worst person alive. She blocked me on every single platform she owns. She told our entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone, that I destroyed her marriage with my own 2 hands. But here is what nobody in my family knows yet. I didn't destroy her marriage. Her husband destroyed it. For 3 years straight. Behind her back. Behind everyone's back. And I have every single piece of evidence to prove it. The photos. The hotel receipts. The timestamps. All of it. So before you judge me, let me tell you exactly what happened. Because this story is not simple. And I am not the villain they think I am. My name is Jamie. I am 28 years old. My older sister Rachel just turned 31. Growing up, Rachel and I were inseparable. She was the first person I called when anything happened. Good news, bad news, weird news. Always Rachel first. She wasn't just my sister. She was my actual best friend. 4 years ago, Rachel met a man named David at a work conference in another city. They hit it off immediately. Within 6 months, they were engaged. Within a year, married. I want to be honest about something important. At their wedding, I genuinely completely liked David. He was warm. He was funny. He had this way of making everyone in the room feel seen. Most importantly, the way he looked at Rachel, it was the way every person deserves to be looked at. I gave a speech at that wedding. I talked about how happy I was for her. I meant every single word I said. But about 12 months into their marriage, something changed. Not dramatically, not obviously, just a feeling. The way you feel when a room is slightly too cold, but you can't find an open window. Something was wrong. I couldn't name it yet. David started disappearing for hours at a time. No explanation. Just gone. Rachel would ask where he'd been. He'd say just needed to drive or clearing my head. She accepted it because she trusted him completely. Then there was the phone situation. He became oddly protective of it, leaving rooms to take calls, turning the screen away when Rachel walked by. Small things, dismissible things. Except, I wasn't dismissing them anymore. 14 months into their marriage, I was in a town about 40 minutes from home, running errands. Normal Tuesday afternoon. I stopped at a small coffee shop I had never visited before, and there was David, sitting at a corner table across from a woman I had never seen. They were leaned toward each other, voices low, laughing quietly. His hand was covering hers on the table. I stood in the doorway for maybe 10 full seconds. He never looked up. I turned around and walked back to my car. I sat in that parking lot for 20 minutes. Maybe it's a colleague, I told myself. Maybe it's a childhood friend, a cousin, a neighbor. Maybe I am being paranoid and dramatic. And I am about to burn down my sister's happy marriage over a coffee shop moment that means absolutely nothing. So I said nothing. I drove home. I stayed quiet. And I have regretted that decision almost every day since. For 2 years after that Tuesday, I watched my sister live her life. And she was happy. Genuinely, completely happy. She and David bought a house together. They adopted a dog named Biscuit, a ridiculous golden retriever who ate 2 couch cushions. In his first week home, they started talking about having children. At every family dinner, David was charming and present, and completely, perfectly convincing. And I smiled at every single dinner. Because what was the alternative? Walk up to my sister at Easter and say, "Hey, I saw your husband hold another woman's hand at a coffee shop over a year ago. Thought you should know." Based on what? One moment? One coffee shop? I had nothing solid, nothing provable, just a parking lot feeling and a growing knot in my stomach. So I waited. I told myself I was protecting her. But honestly, I was also protecting myself. From being wrong. From being the one who ruined everything. From becoming the villain in my own sister's love story. Last Christmas changed everything. My parents' house. My dad's famous lasagna. Too much wine. A fire going. The kind of evening that makes you feel like nothing bad could ever exist in the world. Late in the night, David pulled me aside into the kitchen. Everyone else was watching a movie in the living room. Just the two of us. He poured himself another glass of wine. He looked at me for a long, steady moment. And then he said, "You know, don't you? You've always known. But you love Rachel too much to say anything. You're smarter than you look, Jamie." Casual.
Calm.
Like he was complimenting my haircut. Like his wife wasn't laughing 30 feet away. I said absolutely nothing. I walked back to the living room. I hugged Rachel goodnight at the end of the evening, like that conversation had never happened. Then I drove home, and I made a decision. I hired a private investigator. $800. Every cent of the solo trip I had been saving for. I handed it over without hesitating for a single second. 2 weeks later, I had a folder on my kitchen table. Photos, hotel receipts,
Dates.
timestamps. Not one woman.
2.
A pattern that started 8 months into David and Rachel's marriage. 3 years of documented, undeniable, organized lies. I sat with that folder for 4 days. I read through it so many times the pages felt soft. And then on a Tuesday afternoon, I drove to my sister's house. I made her tea first. I don't know why that detail matters to me so much, but I needed her to have something warm in her hands. I sat across from her at her own kitchen table, in the house she shared with him, and I told her everything. The coffee shop 2 years ago, David's words in the kitchen at Christmas, the investigator, the folder. I put it in front of her, and I didn't look away. She was silent for 4 full minutes. I know because I watched the clock on her microwave. Then she looked up and asked one question. "How long have you known?" I told her the truth. 2 years. I suspected for 2 years. She closed the folder. She stood up, and she asked me to leave her house. By the next morning, I was blocked everywhere. My mother called me selfish. My father said I had handled it in the cruelest way possible. The only person who said absolutely nothing was David. 3 weeks later, Rachel called a divorce lawyer. My evidence made everything fast and clean. But she still won't speak to me. Not because she thinks I was wrong to tell her, but because I waited 2 years. And I understand that. I do. Here's the question I cannot stop asking myself at night. If I had gone straight from that coffee shop to Rachel's front door, would she have been better off? She would have had less time living inside a lie. But she also would have had less time being happy. Is 2 years of happy ignorance worth it? Or should the truth always come immediately, no matter what it costs? I still don't have an answer. Reddit. Am I the asshole? NTA if you think I protected her the best way I could. White EA if you think I should have spoken the moment I saw them. Yes H if you think we both failed her in different ways. Leave your verdict in the comments. And subscribe, because tomorrow's story involves a promotion party, a microphone in someone's hand, and 6 words that ended an entire career. See you tomorrow.